Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani. Welcome to StudyIQ, and in this morning session of the Hindu paper analysis, I'm welcoming you. Important questions we are discussing, and the data is extremely crucial because the issues they are extending for many days, and the repeated ones they will surely appear in the prelims phase also. So do not miss any of the lesson and the current affairs section for the whole year. I am trying to cover in these PIB videos and in these the Hindu paper analysis videos. So nothing is left about the current affairs section, and these are the most important sources. So do not miss any of the lesson. And let's start the lesson. 7th May it is, and these are the numbers there you can call and you can ask for these pen drive courses by StudyIQ. And this is the StudyIQ's website. It has 60% off is going on all these important updated courses, and these are surely going to help you a lot if you are preparing for 2020 and 21. Then these are the miraculous courses for you. Diesel exhaust, as I told you, diesel exhaust, they are gonna go away from these diesel cars and all, because it's very harmful for the environment, and the prices they are also shooting up with the diesel fuel. So surely the exhaust is group 1 carcinogen. Very dangerous chemicals are found, and you see particulate matter is also found under the this exhaust, and there are devices which measure these particulate matters and NOx and all with the diesel exhaust. So that's really dangerous. Heavy metals are also there, aerosol particles, everything is there. Suspended particulate matters, SPM, all are coming under this PM category. So the second one is wrong and first one is correct. So only one is the correct answer here. Next, you can read here diesel type of internal combustion engine, that is gaseous exhaust, and particulates are also present here. Group 1 carcinogen, bladder cancer, lung cancer, these are very much typical of these group 1 carcinogens which are found in this diesel exhaust. So IARC, the Cancer Research Authority, that is the international body, and that has held these carcinogens as very dangerous one. And NOx and particulate matter, these both are found here. Next, Salyut, Almaz, Skylab and Mir, these are previous space missions, space stations. Okay, the way we have NASA International Space Station ISS in the low Earth orbit today, and that is orbiting the Earth, and China is also planning its own, and Russia is also working on that. So Salyut was the first one by USSR. That was the first attempt to make a space station there, and Almaz was a very secretive one in 60s, and Skylab was by NASA only, and this Mir one was also a space station. So they may ask you about that. A lot of informations are going on, and recently the Falcon 9 rocket that sent a cargo to ISS again. So these questions may be asked, that what are these? So D is the correct answer here. Next, IAEA, this Atomic Energy Agency, the headquarters is there in Vienna, not in Paris. There is a separate agency called International Energy Agency that was started in 1970s after the oil crisis. That body's headquarters is there in Paris. So this is a wrong statement, because IAEA's headquarters is in Vienna, Austria's capital Vienna. So that's important, and it is actually independent. It is not independent, is incorrect one. It is independent of UN agency, and it reports to both United Nations General Assembly and Security Council. So this is the connection with UN, that it has to report to these two important bodies, two important organs of the UN system. But it is actually independent of the UN system, because it is not having any kind of authority over it. So the report is important because it is dealing with the atomic energy issue, and it has several teams and all, and they do inspections in these countries like Iran and all, and this question was also asked. So these are various important terms associated with IAEA, and it's working. Okay, so they may ask you about the questions on that. And now the sanctions are lifted, and again these sanctions are imposed again, and other countries are also said that they cannot import oil from Iran. So in these ever-going issues, they may ask you about the IAEA also. So both statements are wrong here. D is the correct answer. Fourth one, 15th Finance Commission. Article 280 is correct one. It's a constitutional setup, and by President of India only. First Finance Commission was constituted under chairmanship of KC Niyogi. It's a very famous question, and that's correct one. And the 6th April 1952 was the date. But third one is not correct, because the period for the 15th Finance Commission would be 2020 to 25. It is not 17 to 22. It is 20 to 25. Okay, these 5 years are very much famous one these days, but that actual timing for the Finance Commission, 15th Finance Commission, is 2025, and NK Singh is the chairman of it. Remember that. So 1 and 2 is the correct answer. Third one is wrong here. Next, Ministry of Defense has approved Indian Navy's proposal to acquire 10 Kamo 31 helicopters. These are military helicopters, and they are by Russia, not by USA. So these defense current affairs are extremely important this year. So these Kamo class, as the name suggests, it's a Russian name. So Kamo class would be by Russia, not by USA. And the decision was taken at Defense Acquisition Council, the highest body that decides about these procurements and all. And that is officially chaired by Defense Minister, Union Defense Minister, not by Prime Minister. So this is also wrong. So both are wrong, and D9 is the correct answer here. Now these are the words that I found today, and try them into sentences. Now we will start with some facts and important informations. Most important data today is regarding the clean chit to CJI by Justice Bobde panel. So remember, Justice Bobde headed this panel, and they have said that these things are going to be secretive, and we will not reveal all these proceedings and everything regarding the case, because it is very much sensitive, and it is regarding Supreme Court's highest authority, and CJI's image and Supreme Court's image is at stake. So not all the information will be divulged there. But you see, Indira Jaisingh versus Supreme Court of India 2003 case is being quoted here by SC to keep the inquiry report confidential. So they may ask about that. It says that in-house power of the inquiry is either moral or ethical, and not an exercise of powers under any law, and it is an exercise of moral authority. So that is why we cannot reveal all the information, because they know what will go on after that, and in the media, in the people, what is the information that will be spread there. So the report cannot even be sought by approaching a constitutional court through a writ petition. So there is no way possible that we can get all these informations. But you see, CJ has got the clean chit, and this case has become very, very mysterious and very, very complex. Two important articles they are there in today's newspaper regarding this case, so we will discuss this issue there. Now we move forward to Polavaram Dam. Deadline pushed back, and May 2020 is the new deadline here. Andhra Pradesh is ready for this Polavaram Dam. That is the biggest one till now in India, and this project has got the national importance tag. Okay, and maybe it's the last one to get this tag. And it is there in West Godavari and East Godavari district. I have given you one important question regarding Godavari river also, and you see the interconnection of these rivers, the interlinking of these rivers, that is the biggest issue geographically for India, and the Godavari and Krishna linking is the most important one. Godavari is having the surplus waters, and Krishna is having lesser waters there. So the need is bigger there with the Krishna basin. So the interlinking project and these Polavaram Dam and the Prakasam Barrage and all, these connections will be very, very important. So please go through all the details regarding that. It has got a world record with itself also regarding these filling of the concrete dam in one day. So that is a different one. But this is a very highlighted issue. Okay, Polavaram Dam, and it is on the Godavari river. So we will discuss other details because there are too many. So maybe with some topic regarding Polavaram Dam, we will discuss that. Next, nests of grizzled giant squirrel that was spotted in Tamil Nadu, and it was in this particular Chinnar Wildlife Sanctuary, and the specific place is given Pakkamalai Reserve Forest. So they may ask you about the Pakkamalai Reserve Forest. It is in Tamil Nadu, and you see it's an endangered animal. That's important, protected under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act. So please go through all the sections of Schedule 1 to Schedule 6, which are given under Wildlife Protection Act of 72. So this is the conservation and the protection issues, and Schedule 1 animals are highly protected. There are animals and there are plants also. So 901 entries of taxas and animals and birds and plants, they are in various schedules of the Wildlife Protection Act, and which are there from 1 to 6. and all these issues of vermin status, all the issues of highest level of conservation and the penalties and all, they all are associated with these schedules. Schedule 1 is having the highest protection levels, and Schedule 6 is the least one. And these vermin status and all, these are given under various section of Schedule 4 and all. So please go through all of them. And according to it, you see, this is the 2016 data, but I'm quoting the PIB data here, so that is the most authenticated one. So that's the reason. And according to this data, 103 national parks and 535 wildlife sanctuaries and 26 community reserves and 6 conservation reserves are there. And you see, surely this list is updated one according to the 2019 data, but the report is very much official. So legal protection is given under this act and under these schedules, and CBI is also empowered under the WPA Act that it can apprehend and prosecute wildlife offenders. And this body is also very, very important, WCCB. They have asked question regarding WCCB in 2016, and in 17 also they asked a question regarding that. And this centrally sponsored scheme of integrated development of wildlife habitats, that's a bigger scheme, and they are covering a lot of issues under it. So please go through the provisions of this IDWH also. Okay. And Biodiversity Act of 2002, that is also very much relevant here, because in the conservation efforts we brought this act and we established NBA, National Biodiversity Authority, State Biodiversity Authority, and District Biodiversity Boards and all. And all other issues of conservation efforts, the protected areas, we established 730 protected areas network, including these many parks, sanctuaries and community reserves, all are under protected area network. So there is a whole chapter in the Shankar's IAS book. So if you are appearing this year or maybe appearing next year, all these provisions you need to revise. So there is so many references in the environment section in today's newspaper. In the bigger article that is there in the editorial section, there also a lot of references are given to environmental section. So this is a gold mine for you people, because many questions have been asked on these important topics. So please go through all of them. And remember this giant squirrel, that is grizzled giant squirrel. Okay, one is a flying squirrel that is found in Namdafa National Park in Arunachal Pradesh, and this one is very, very important. This is under this is in Pakka Malai Reserve Forest area, that is in Tamil Nadu. So after many years, it has been spotted there, and the nest of this animal they have found it. That means it is residing there for quite some time. So that's important. Next, SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, where we became an important member in 2017 with Pakistan, and the total membership now amounts to 8. 6 members, they started it in 2003 by signing the Shanghai Charter in June 2002, and the countries were China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. There used to be a Shanghai 5 group where, leaving Uzbekistan, all these 5 countries were there, and that upgraded to this Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and we became a part of it in 2017 June, and that was the summit in Astana, Kazakhstan in that year. And now heads of the State Council, that is the supreme decision making body of SCO. So we are going to meet again in this summit this year, and surely we will meet Pakistan's Minister Mahmood Qureshi also. So Sushma Swaraj is going to be sent there on 22nd of May, one day before the result of the elections. And you see, this is the largest regional organization in the world in terms of geographical coverage and the population both, in both areas, because India and China both are there, and Russia is also there. So it's the biggest geographical area, and it is also called Alliance of the East because too much emphasis with the Asian countries. Okay, so we are going to meet here. Last time we rejected this proposal to meet Pakistan authorities, and this year now we have decided about that, and that's very, very important. Next, extinction issue. Some days back we also discussed this issue. I told you about the mass extinction phases in the geological past, and they may ask you a lot of things. This time IPBES, this is a body which is equivalent to IPCC body. As IPCC is working for the climate change, this IPBES is working for the biodiversity. So IPBES, Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, that did this global assessment, and it is saying that around 1 million species, they are facing the risk of extinction, and 5 lakh plants and animals, they are currently have insufficient habitat for long-term survival. and 40% of amphibians, 33% of reef-forming corals, and 33% of marine mammals, they are facing the threat of extinction. So that is really a dangerous thing. And you see, this is happening all in front of our eyes, and it is happening with the fastest pace till now, because we are able to see that. Otherwise, these things take thousands of years, but here we can see all these things. And the reasons are a lot of consumption and a lot of exploitation, interference by humans, and pollution and climate change. So all these things are happening, and you see, if this business as usual is gonna go like this, so the average temperature which will rise, that's a shocking report, till 2100, where we are targeting 1.5 degrees centigrade, that we will keep this rise till this much amount, but actual rise will gonna be there around 4.3 degrees centigrade. It's a huge temperature difference, and the increase there, that means there will be a greater threat, a way greater threat for the biodiversity, for these plants, for these staple crops, and for these animals, and for humans also. That means the temperature in summers in India will shoot up to 55 degrees centigrade, or maybe more than that. And these are really dangerous things. We are targeting 1.5 Celsius, and the business as usual is giving us the number of 4.3 degrees centigrade. So these are really scary numbers. Okay, so read about all these datas, and this IBPS is going to be very important. Every year UPSC asks these kind of bodies, because in some hidden datas in the Hindu newspaper which are appearing, and these are asked, and every time students are left perplexed that from where UPSC asked this question. So this is the reference here. Next, lightning caused emergency landing of Sukhoi plane. The unfortunate incident happened yesterday in Russia, and 41 people were killed, and lightning caused these issues. And one more unfortunate issue is going on regarding the Boeing 737 MAX in January, when 189 people were killed in the Indonesian Lion Airlines. So this was the 737 MAX Boeing aircraft. So this was under a lot of investigation, and now they have found some reasons. So these both things will be important for the prelims examination, that Sukhoi is related to Russia and Boeing is related to America, and both are bigger aircraft makers, and they are facing some flack here. Reasons may be different, but the learning for the mains, that India is trying to reach new heights in the airline industry. Although some ups and downs are going on with some industries, but overall we are targeting a lot of things. But these issues are bigger issues, that even these best of these countries, they are not able to contain all these issues. So what kind of procedures, what kind of policies, what kind of safeguards we should follow in the future, because we remain ignorant about many things as usual. So we need to take care about these issues, because it directly takes lives. Okay, there is no spare. If there is some accident in the air, then surely people will die. So it is not like road accidents where many people are safe. So it is not like that. It's happening in air, thousands of feet above the ground. So any kind of fault, any kind of ignorance, any kind of difficulty in the air is gonna take lives. So even if one life is in danger because of the failures, so we need to be super cautious about that. Okay. Next, about the articles, we will discuss this article regarding the CGI's issue. GS paper 2 is going to be important here. Conservation minus the people, the most important article of the day, and important for GS paper 3 and 2 both. In this article, it is talking about the NSE, National Stock Exchange, which has got some flag from SEBI. SEBI is the regulator body. Please read about all the regulatory bodies, like RBI is the financial regulator, and SEBI is the stock market, and all these agencies and all these commissions are related to security market. It is the regulator of all these bodies, and IRDA is the insurance regulator. Now SEBI has decided that the penalty of 1,000 crore rupees would be there, invited by NSE, and because it has found some irregularities and it is not maintaining some standards, and some speculations are there, some allegations are there that there may be a bigger fraud involved there, because some broker client groups were there which got an early access of some of the servers of the NSE, and they may have distorted the market, and they may have got some early access before other people. So the trust is at stake, and there may be a bigger plot, there may be a bigger scam, and scam of lakhs of crore rupees can be there behind that. So the investigations are going on, but right now the 1,000 crore rupees penalty is there with NSE, and that is a legitimate one, that is a deserving one according to the writer, because the trust is at stake. Lakhs of crore rupees are invested by small investors, and if these kind of incidents would be there, these kind of allegations are appearing, these kind of irregularities and not maintaining the standards are appearing, then these things are really not good for the country and the investors. Already investors are stuck, they are stressed in many areas, and India's investment scenario is going through the worst phase, and what was expected, it is nowhere a match. So that is why the investment sector should not be hit. So that is why this move by SEBI is a legitimate one. Next, posers on the court. This is regarding election commission's working, and we will combine this to this important article. This is by S.Y. Qureshi, the former CEC. In both these articles, one thing is common, that EC's working is under a lot of stress, and openly it is losing its image, because some things are open, some things are really problematic, some things are not allowed, and these are never ever legitimate on the moral scales and the ethical scales. The kind of statements which are being made in the election campaigning, and especially by some top post holding people like Prime Minister of India and other important leaders like the national president of a particular party. So they are making some very problematic statements, although others are also making, but issue becomes much more important when the Prime Minister of a country that is making these kind of statements. So these are really problematic things. Maybe political inclinations are different, but here 6 clean chits have been given by election commission, and now the issue has become so grave that one of the election commissioners out of these 3, he has come in open, and he has said that I was not in favor of these kind of clean chits to these people, because things are open and things are very problematic. These are openly having consequences on religious scales, and they are openly saying that majority is in minority in some reason, and that is why somebody is being a candidate in that particular area. And you see the kind of language is being used here, and that is really crass, that is of substandard level, and that is really a third class one. The kind of language our leaders are using these days, and even the topmost ones, and there is no doubt about that, and there is no political about that. This is totally about the ethics and morality. And here writer says that reason lies in the setup, because CEC and all the other 2 which were added later, these 2 are appointed by the President of India on the recommendation of the Prime Minister of India, which is heading the Council of Ministers, and that is totally a government setup indirectly. And removal of CEC is very difficult, the way we can remove Supreme Court judge, and that's a very difficult setup. So in the same way we can remove CEC. So appointment is simple and removal is very difficult. And here these 2 additional people, now the problem remains, because any single person's opinion can be sidelined by 2 other people. So if these 2 people are having same opinions, then the other person's opinion, that would not matter. And here Ashok Lavasa said that I was not in favor, so this issue was decided by ratio of 2:1. That means 2 people were in favor of clean chits, and I was not in favor of that. So this is how this issue is changed now, because in the article 324 only CEC was there, only one person was there as a commissioner, and these 2 people were added later, and that was all itself was faulty. And bigger fault is there in the selection process, because there is no balanced selection process like CVC and CBI director, where leader of opposition is also there. So that should be there in the highest level of election commanding authority. And you see, this is a kind of a joke where democracy is dependent on the elections, and elections are taken care by the election commission, and CEC's selection is not balanced. It's a biased one in the favor of the government, because whatever the government would decide about that would be communicated to the president, or president would appoint the same person. So where is the meaning of balance? So this is a problematic setup, and removal is also problematic. So here S.Y. Qureshi said that I also felt this thing, that although it depends on the individuals, but some things are really problematic, that not even a single case they found some things problematic and some things are really problematic. Any simple person can tell about these things, that these things are really uninvited, inappropriate, illegitimate also, and these are totally against the constitutional philosophy. That what kind of things they are trying here to gain votes, these are totally going against the constitutional provisions and the philosophy of it. So these are problematic things. So this is given here, and it is all a theory one and not much important for the prelims point of view. But Article 324 and the selection of these people, the organizational setup would be much more important for the prelims. So remember that. Next, in this article, this we will take later in this week because it's a smaller one, and the articles are too many today. Now, miscarriage of justice. Here the writer explains the whole scenario. He explains that how the ordeal went by, and it's an old issue, 3 years old issue, and she has been working there since 2016. And then when she complained about these issues, then repeatedly she was transferred and ultimately she was dismissed, and her husband, who is there in the crime branch of Delhi police as a head constable, he was also transferred to a third battalion, and they were accused with many allegations and all, and they were suspended over telephone. And her brother-in-law is also in the same concern as the constable with Delhi police, and her husband and her brother-in-law, they both were suspended over phone. And another brother-in-law who was appointed by CJI as a junior attendant in the Supreme Court, he was also removed. So in a way, he explains that these things were really problematic. They were violative of Article 14 and Article 21. And this is a case which is having similarities with some other cases in the past, where somebody complained against the bigger authorities and they faced some problems, and they were maybe pressurized by these highest authorities and highest level of people, and these were threatened by some these kind of decisions, and maybe some steps were taken which were arbitrary and which were not legitimate, and they were done just to threaten the victim there who has complained against those people. So it has similarities like those cases where misuse of authority was found. And in previous cases in 1996, like Uma Shankar Sistani versus Commissioner of Police, Delhi Police, Supreme Court ordered the CBI investigation to investigate that circumstances under which a false complaint was registered against the petitioner. So some similarities we have been looking here, but you see, all things are not open to us. All proceedings are not open to us, so we cannot talk much over this issue. But some things are there that are confusing ones, and they are raising many grave issues there. As I explained to you, that her family was tortured in a sense, and these people were taken to CJI's house also, where CJI's wife is also mentioned in the case by the writer. So these things are not important for us from the exam point of view, but certainly these are making a strong case against CJI. But some things are making a case in favor of CJI, where a person, Naveen Kumar, who is hailing from Haryana, and he is saying that the lady who is accusing CJI, she demanded a bribe to give him a job in Supreme Court. She said that I would set your job in Supreme Court, but 10 lakh rupees you have to give there. And he gave first installment of 50,000 rupees. And you see, this complaint was made in Tilak Nagar police station in 2019, and it is the case of 2017. So why this case now? So many issues are there, and these are making some complexities in the case. So we don't know many things here, so we cannot discuss much, but we are relying on the information given by Dushyant Dave in this article. So maybe some things are as personal opinions and personal information, so we don't know much. But the judicial review is really a must here, because there are many grounds which are showing us that things are problematic, and judicial review must be there. And if the lady is found innocent there after the review, then certainly it's a really problematic case, and the Supreme Court's authority and their image, everything is at stake, and things would be really disturbing if these things are found against CJI, where the clean chit is given now to CJI by the Bobde panel. Okay, so this is all the case, and some issues of violation of Article 14 and 21. and a very perplexed case and arbitrary action on the part of public authorities. These are the important things where this report is based on. And claims are already there, and natural justice is nowhere seen since the start, and absence of any non-procedure is being followed there. And because they are saying that it is an issue of morality and ethics, so we cannot reveal all the information. So some things are quoted by Supreme Court here in this particular issue because it is against the highest authority, and that is why the case of equality comes here, because CGI is being treated differently here and the lady is being treated differently here. So this is the case of equality according to Article 14, and the harassment here, that is amounting to Article 21. Next, the most important article, where you go through the whole text and many bodies, many programs, many strategies, policies you will find, and you will have to revise that before the prelims examination, whether you are appearing this year or maybe you are appearing next year. These things are there from where the maximum number of questions were asked in the past. You see here the writer says that international efforts, they were started 3-4 decades back regarding the conservation, regarding the support of indigenous communities. And you see many important programs, initiatives are available today on the international platform, where they have recognized totally that the indigenous communities and the tribal communities which are living there in the forest, they are supportive of the conservation phenomena. And here in India, we are going just opposite to that. We have released these notifications, we have released these important provisions in our National Wildlife Action Plan of 2017, and the draft National Forest Policy, that is a new one, in 2018, and the order of Supreme Court in early 2019 against these claims of forest dwellers. So all these things are diminishing the powers, diminishing the rights given to these forest dwellers, and that is totally against these international acceptances, because that's the truth, scientific truth, that these communities are very much supportive. Their life is dependent on these forest systems and the natural ways. So they are supportive actually, but we are just ignoring these facts and we are just going against that. And even we have given unprecedented powers to the forest officials, that they can search these people's houses and they can disturb their lives, and they can do many things on their discretion, and that is really problematic, because discretion is removed from the official capacities as much as it is possible, because discretion creates problems, discretion creates corruption issues, discretion creates many problematic decisions, and that is why it's the biggest problem. And that was removed somehow in the Forest Right Acts of 2006, and that was very much supportive of these Gram Sabhas and these tribal communities. But now there is a change, there is a shift in the approach, and more powers are given to forest officials again, and these people are finding many difficulties. And now Supreme Court's judgment, and that is to be reviewed in July again. So these things are really going against our claims that we made internationally, that we are a country of nature, and this is in our system, this is in our sanskar, that we pray before the nature, we worship all these animals, plants and all, and we are here just to conserve all these biodiversity and the plants and animals. So this is all against that. And the coastal regulations zone guidelines that came recently, these are also really problematic. So there is a great contradiction, and Indian conservation policies and legislations over the years reveal a dichotomy of intents and actions, that's for sure. And you see, in the past, when Indian Forest Act came at first in 1927, that somehow recognized the forest areas and all, but you see, these were more exploitative in terms, and they were more in favor of Britishers, and we continued that thing. That was the problematic thing. And when after Indian Forest Right Act of 1927, when forest policy came in 88, and in 1992 National Conservation Strategy came, and National Environmental Policy of 2006 came, and then Biosphere Reserve Guidelines in 2007 came, then they brought some relaxations, and they actually took some important steps regarding conservation. So those were some reliefs. And when this Wildlife Protection Act 72 came, that was also a big relief. And in 2002 they brought up Biodiversity Act and Joint Forest Management Guidelines They were also supportive, these community institutions, for co-management. So these were good steps. But now this shift, and especially during the present regime, and they brought this National Wildlife Action Plan, new plan in 17, and all these later guidelines and all, these became a problem. Otherwise, in 2006, they put emphasis on tribal rights, and the Gram Sabha was given a lot of powers and the rights of choosing these companies and all, where they are going to exploit these minerals and all, so they will be allowed or not. That was based on the consent of Gram Sabha people. So these things were progressive one. Now we are just going backwards. So why this is happening? And these are real problems, and we need solution for these things. Otherwise, we will not have a good future. And certainly, as we saw, that business as usual is really dangerous for the nature, and the countries who are really being hypocrites here, and we will be counted under these hypocrites category of countries, because we are claiming very high, we are telling too much on the international platform, and we are talking about high claims, but in reality what we are doing, that is in front of us. Already we are not having 1/3 of our land in the forest area, and that is around 22-23%, and under that 22-23%, the dense forest category is having around 5% and less than that. So that means all over the geographical area of this country, dense forests, they are less than 5% in the actual terms. So that means already we are putting a lot of things on risk, and we are looking for a dangerous future. And now these kind of guidelines, these kind of action plans, and these kind of strategies, they are problematic one. If we talk about the international efforts, then in 1980, the World Conservation Strategy for IUCN came, and the Earth Summit of 1992 that declared the CBD, conservation of biodiversity, and UNCCD, UNFCCC, all these things came, and Addis Ababa Principles and Guidelines for Sustainable Use of Biodiversity came, and in 2000 year, the IUCN's policy statement on a sustainable use of wild living sources, that came, these Nagoya protocols and all these things came, AG biodiversity targets. So these were great steps. But now we are moving away from the community involved conservation models. So communities should be involved there. Tribal communities are really supportive. We need to recognize that, and this is a truth, scientific truth. We cannot deny that. But if we deny, then we really being hypocrite here. So this is all, and all these things, all these initiatives, strategies, policies, and programs that I mentioned, please go through all of them, read their details. Some of things would be certainly asked in this prelims, this year prelims and next year prelims, both. These are the questions, and the rest of the questions I will discuss in the evening's lesson of PIB. So thanks a lot, keep watching, it was amazing.